Well, hello everybody. Welcome to your language teaching and learning channel. My name is Santiago, and yes, it's been a while. I need to apologize for that. And in this time, a lot of things have happened. There have been a lot of changes in the work environment, and of course related to English language teaching or language teaching in general. Although many of the changes in this case are related to terminology but basically, as usual, I think everything goes back to the basics. Okay, well, we'll be talking about that later on. When it comes to the work environment, I was reading an article. This is not only related to teaching, but about because of the pandemic, the different things that happened and everything else, about this trend that started a couple of years back that is called quiet quitting. Okay, and I thought it was interesting. I read an article about a teacher, Maggie Perkins, who she doesn't call it quiet quitting, she calls it quiet working. And I think I would agree with that. What she mentions is the fact that we as teachers always have to take our work home. Okay, yes, there are, we work from whatever time to whatever time in the school. And then after school, we need to take our other work home and everything else. And sometimes we don't have any weekends because we have to grade so many things and everything. And of course, she found ways in which she didn't really have to do that anymore. Mind you, and I agree with her, she doesn't say, okay, quiet quitting, I'll just do the minimum to get me by. No. She says, okay, when I'm in school, on my work schedule, I give 100%. But then after that, I need to do my own things, okay? So this is something very important to keep in mind, okay? I have a friend of mine, his name is Pablo Hidrobo, and when I was working at the school, please check, that's how far it went. He had a little leather bag in which he carried his homework and assignments from his students. And I remember he got mugged once, okay? And he came to the school and he told us that. So we were all concerned. In the end, it ended up being a little bit funny because, he said, and they tried to take my bag with all the assignments from my students, and I had to fight with him. I said, no, and he said, give me the bag. And I said, no, because these are my students' work. Look, I need to grade all this, and he let me keep the bag. It was kind of funny, but this is how far we teachers go, right? Here it's always been said, if somebody mugs you and they say, give me your wallet, whatever, just give it to them and say, look, my life is more important. But in his case was, no, my papers are more important, the assignments from my students. So this is how we are. But of course, that takes a lot out of you, okay? And I will include the article in the link here so you can read it. Obviously, it wears you down. So we have to find ways in which even though we don't stop working, obviously, because if we're teachers, it's because we love teaching, we will still have to do our work as well as we do, 100%, as Maggie mentions. But there are ways in order to avoid having to take so much work home all of the time. Now, it's okay, I'm sure we may have to do it once in a while, but not all the time. Okay, and there are different ways of doing this. Okay, she mentions a few in the article there. So as I mentioned, I will put it in the link so you can check it out and maybe give me your opinion later on. But one example could be when it comes to grading writing, which is usually what takes a lot of time. I remember in an institution where I was working, the students actually did get to a really high level of academic English, and in the higher levels, we had to grade like 5-paragraph essays and things like that. Now, it may not sound like much, and of course it's not the reality all the time. In the institute, we had a maximum of 16 students, so having to grade 16 5-paragraph essays was a lot, okay? Now, a suggestion would be very easy, like the first time, okay, assigned the 5-paragraph essay for the students to do over the weekend. Okay, now please check, this is the first time we've talked about 5-paragraph essays, how to write them. They've done a few exercises and now they have to do their own first paragraph essay. 5-paragraph essay over the weekend, and then you, on Monday, just go over, okay, show me your assignments, okay? There will always be a couple of students, 2 or 3, who, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have time, I was busy, whatever, fine. Okay, they're in their own group now, okay? And they will have to write the 5-paragraph essay on their own by the time the class is over. In the case of the students who did do the 5-paragraph essay, okay, put them in groups of 3, okay? And I usually tell them, okay, this is what you need to do. You have 2 options. One, well, first of all, you each read, each person reads aloud, or you read each other's 5-paragraph essays, okay? And then after you've read all of them, the 3 of them, you have 2 options. Option 1, select one and say, oh, this 5-paragraph essay is the best from the 3 of us. Now let's fix it, okay? Spelling, grammar mistakes, cohesion, etc. And that is our final work. We hand it in, okay? Possibility 1. Possibility 2 is what I call the Frankenstein essay, okay? In which you say, okay, oh, you did a really good introductory paragraph and a really good concluding paragraph, so we'll use those. You did a very good first body paragraph and third body paragraph, so we'll include that, and I think this one is the best second body paragraph. There we go, that's the Frankenstein essay. We put it together, similar idea, we check for mistakes, we fix it up a little bit, and that is our final work. So what happens in that case, obviously instead of grading 15 5-paragraph essays, the first time we only grade 5, okay? 5 assignments from 3 students each, and then usually that first time I'm usually very fussy, and I take off points for every little mistake, like comma used incorrectly, spelling, very little grammar mistakes. I take off points for everything. Why? Because once they get it back, okay, I tell them, look, there were 3 people checking this. How could you let this pass? So what happens is the next time they're more careful with doing the assignment, checking the assignment, right? This helps the students a lot, because remember we mentioned, for students to improve, they need to practice. The more they practice, the better they become. By doing this type of activity, they did their own 5-paragraph essay. They had the opportunity to check, edit, and evaluate their other classmates' 5-paragraph essay, and they actually had to do one. So it's all about assignment, way of doing the assignment. Eventually, of course, you know, when it came to midterms or finals, definitely we have to read each student's 5-paragraph essay. But the first times, this is one of the options. In order to quiet work, as you know, if we had to grade the first time that the students did the 5-paragraph essays, or even if it's just 1 paragraph, the first time we do it, it's very hard. The first time they do it, I'm sorry. It's very hard. Why? Because they haven't had a lot of experience. So there are a lot of things that we need to look into, and it's not cohesive enough, and it's not logical, the arguments are contradictory, etc. So that's a lot of grading to do the first time. So this is why they do it on their own. Once they get it back, even if they still have those problems, the 3 of them will learn from those mistakes. Okay? And then in the long run, obviously, the result will be better. Okay? So anyway, once again, I apologize for the delay on this video. I will definitely continue putting on videos, and I have some interviews coming up and everything else. However, unfortunately, I cannot commit to having a video every week like I used to before. Remember, by Monday mornings in some parts of the world, you already had the video. In other parts of the world, it was Sunday evening. However, I can commit to at least 1 every month. Okay, at least 1 every month. I assure you it will be of benefit and useful for you. However, I would recommend, so just so that you're not going into the channel all the time, oh my goodness, he hasn't posted anything, that's terrible. Subscribe and, get the notices going so that as soon as something is posted, you already know it and you can look into it. Okay, as I said, we'll have interviews and everything else. And again, tips on grading systems, how to evaluate different aspects of the activities the students do in class, and so on and so on. And of course, every once in a while, we'll be talking about music too. So anyway, it's been a pleasure seeing you all again. Thank you very much for having joined me this time, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.